Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this fantastic event, an afternoon chat show hosted by people with learning disabilities. My name is Neil Hudson-Basing. I'm the Corporate Events Manager for London South Bank University, and I am delighted to be working with colleagues from LSBU and beyond for this event to celebrate Learning Disability Week 2021. And I've got colleagues on screen from the Foundation for People with Learning Disabilities and today's special guests and hosts. So everyone that you see on screen right now, you will be meeting throughout the course of this event, and they're very much looking forward to meeting you and to sharing their creative sides with you, with the theme being creativity. So first of all, I've just got some virtual housekeeping that I'd like to take you through before I hand over, starting with a short statement on respect and dignity. Everyone speaking at or attending an LSBU event, whether in person or virtually, should be treated with respect, dignity, and courtesy. LSBU operates an environment built on equality, inclusion, and acceptance. We value contributions, feedback, and comments, and wish to create a space for sharing, learning, celebrating, and bringing communities together. LSBU does not tolerate any form of abuse, bullying, harassment, or discrimination. Inappropriate behaviour, including that potentially impacts or contradicts LSBU's reputation and values, will be treated seriously and acted upon. Anyone exhibiting any of this behaviour will also be removed from the webinar. We want our events to be an enjoyable, safe, and warm experience for all. Thank you for adhering to these guidelines. So I'm just going to take you through Zoom very quickly. Firstly, the chat box. You're making use of that already, and we love to see your thoughts and comments in there. Keep sharing them. It helps us to build up some networking. And in the absence of seeing each other face to face, it helps us to break down the virtual wall that we've all been experiencing. The next button along is the Q&A box. Please pop your questions for our guests today in the Q&A box. If you pop them in the chat box, we might lose them. So do pop them in the Q&A box. You can also upvote on the questions you most want answered by clicking the little thumbs up symbols, and that boosts your favorite question to the top of the list. And finally, you'll see that we have enabled closed captioning. That's the subtitles that you can see appearing on your screen. We like to do this in the interests of accessibility and inclusivity, but if you do not wish to see them, you can hide them using the little up arrow next to the CC live transcript button at the bottom of your screen. So if you just click that up arrow, there's an option there to hide the subtitles. That's all from me. I'm really looking forward to today's event, and I hope you are too. I'm in the background if you have any questions at all. And without further ado, I'd like to hand over to our hosts, Sonia and David.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. Hello and welcome to the Other One show. I'm Sonia Reid.
And I'm David Marn.
We have a packed show for you today, featuring incredible guests and live performance. In today's show, we'll be celebrating the creative side of people with learning disabilities and exploring how having opportunities to be creative can be good for our well-being. We will be hearing from practice development nurse Steve Harley and musician and DJ Mikey Reynolds.
We'll also be hearing from Peter Allen about the creative life that he leads, and we have a surprise guest to finish the show. Peter will also be treating us to a live performance, a live musical performance, and we'll leave a little time at the end of each interview for audience questions. So if you have any questions, put them in the Q&A box. Also, when we ask for questions, if you've got a question but you haven't put it in the box and you'd like to ask one, wave your hand and Neil will try and pick up on that. So we'll try and ask as many as time will allow us.
And now it is time for our first guest. It's Mikey Reynolds. Our first guest is a rock and roll from East Sussex. He is part of a fantastic band, Delta 7, a band that met as part of the Arts project for people with learning disabilities. This critical acclaimed band were the subject of a BAFTA nomination film. Disable Not Defeat, developed by Voice Man Sin. He is also a DJ, so it is a stranger of getting the party started. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome Mikey Reynolds.
Thank you, Sonia and David. Hello, everyone. Well, just any questions, fire away. Well, I'm Mikey Reynolds. I've been with Delta 7 from the former of Delta 7 years ago. I don't know how many years it is now, but I was one of the ones who started the band from a lark course with with 7 people, and then from today we've grown really strong. We've had some ups and downs in the band. 3 years ago, we lost someone in our band called Tom Solway. So we were in the middle of filming a film, and then it kind of went into a bit of a.
Mikey, don't tell them too much. We've got to ask you all the questions first. You'll give everything away.
All right, sorry.
Right. You are a member of fantasy-based band Delta 7. Can you tell us a little about how the band came about and how you end up part of it?
Well, from the beginning, I got approached by an organisation called Cultures. It was Arts Connect, and they did a music course, and I just signed up to it. And through the music course, we were all recording our own songs, and then 7 of us wanted to become a band, and that's how the band came about. And the why it's called Delta 7 is the building we were in was actually called Delta and 7. And a lot of people are going to say it's something to do with the virus. But I can assure you we had nothing to do with the virus. We've had a lot of people say we think we've got all going to give you the virus, but we are surely not.
I didn't realise that there were lots more people doing it, but the 7 of you decided that you wanted to take it further and do a bit of rock and roll.
Yeah, so it's not just rock and roll, it's a bit of country, a bit of pop, a bit of rap.
Bit of everything.
Bit of everything.
Cool. So, Mikey, the band was recently the subject of a BAFTA-nominated short film, Disabled Not Defeated. Yeah, BAFTA-nominated, everybody. So, Disabled Not Defeated, it's a terrific film, but it's a really emotional watch.
Yeah,
it's really
emotional. It still makes me cry every time I watch it.
Yeah, it kind of, I had to wipe away a few tears at the end of it. Could you tell us a little bit more about the film, about what it's about, and kind of your role in it?
Well, basically, we'll just end up being films about the band, and then suddenly, like I said, Tom Solway sadly passed away, and the film kind of turned into how we all coped with the loss of Tom and how we all got stronger together and wanted to keep the band going, because we thought we were not going to be able to survive the band, and the way it's made us more stronger in a way, and it makes us feel more. We should be able to people should still be able to have a life, even if they're not with us. Be able to support people through the times when times are tough.
Yeah, so
like obviously it's been even harder for the last year and a half now with the COVID, with the being in lockdown and all that. But we have managed to be able to get together as much as we can virtually and Zoom. And we just finished recording our latest album, which should be available by the end of this year.
Yeah, we're going to ask you a bit more about that shortly. So yeah, as you say, I think the film started out as something else, didn't it? And then you lost Tom.
Yeah.
So did the band find it difficult to continue to do the filming? Because it must have been really difficult.
Yeah, it was very difficult. We all got like interviews, and there's bits in the bit I was saying it was very, very sad talking, but I knew it was what I wanted to say. It's very powerful words, and it's everyone should be able to come across, not to give up in life. Just because something's happened, you should be able to still do what you loved. And we know that Tom is always looking down at us. And we always say our saying now in the band is we're doing it for Tom.
It is. It's quite a powerful film about friendship and love, isn't it? It's not, although the band is the main focus of it. I think there's a lot comes out about the friendship and the love that you have for one another.
Yeah,
and for
definitely.
Tom, after you lost Tom, so that's really quite a striking thing in the film, which is, yeah, it's emotional, isn't it, to watch? You know, it's difficult, but it's a really beautiful.
And
film.
obviously we had the first film, what was in the Picture House cinemas, what was in another competition, what was all in all the Picture House cinemas. So that was the kind of follow-on film we did, but then obviously it changed, like I said, with the loss of Tom. And obviously Vice, it's on, if anyone knows the TV channel Vice, that's where the film is. And we've had people from all over the world now want to approach us. So it's we're kind of out there. And obviously now we were on BBC the other night. What was that? Even though we didn't get the nomination, but it was still nice to be nominated.
Yeah.
And we had a big party. It was nice to be able to be in the same room with the rest of the band people.
Okay, Sonia, I think you've got a question.
Yeah. Were you happy with the finished film?
Definitely, absolutely, 100. I know it was a hard film to do, but it's definitely worth doing. Be able to give out the vibes and be able to teach people that loss is hard, but you can still carry on with support with other people.
And like you say, it was deservedly nominated for a BAFTA. And I believe, as you mentioned, the band all got together to watch the ceremony. Can you tell us a little bit about that night, watching the ceremony? You didn't go.
Well, we all we obviously couldn't go to the BAFTA awards because of all the restrictions and all that. So we managed to get a hotel room for the night with a big screen. So we always just sit and watch it together. We had tea and coffee, cake and all that, and we just sat and watched it. And then we had a little bit of boogie after, and we all did our own speeches, and it was just a lovely evening.
Fabulous.
I think there's questions coming in.
We'll keep an eye out for that.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So, you have just finished a new album. Could you tell us a little bit more about it?
Well, yes. The album is, we've just finished recording it. We've been doing sessions on Zoom, 1-to-1, and a couple of weeks ago we actually got together small groups and actually recorded the album. And there's going to be 9 songs on the album, and the album's going to be called Lockdown Sessions. And we've all got our own song on there. I've done a rock and roll song, and there's a lockdown song. There's one about mental health, one about emotions. There's a eco song, and there's just so many songs on there, and it's very nice. And obviously we had an album. This will be our 3rd album we've released. The first album was this one here, called Delta 7 Summer Waves, what you can find on Spotify and on YouTube. So check it out.
Cool, thanks, Mike. So you've kind of talked a little bit about the songwriting, but how does the band write the songs? Who comes up with the ideas? How do you put them all together?
Normally when we're all together, we normally sit down and just do like brainstorming ideas, and then we just start like putting words together and, hey, Briscoe, you got a song? We've never ever run out of ideas of songwriting, because you can, like I say, you can write a song about absolutely anything, and it doesn't matter what it sounds like, as long as you're happy with it. But this time, obviously, we had to do it a different way, where we've all done our own verses for the lockdown song. So yeah, I could even sing you a little bit of that song if you wanted me to.
I think we'd like that if you want to. Do that, would be fantastic, Mike.
I'll do it at the end. We'll finish the questions off.
Okay. Over to you then, Sonia.
where do you play your gigs?
Well, the furthest we've been is Oxford University, where we were part of a mental health day there. We went and did a concert there. We've been all over. We've been pretty much all through Sussex and England. But the furthest has been is Oxford. But we have actually got our first gig this year in August. What's going to be based in Prince's Park, and it's for a organisation called Define Sports. They're doing a sports festival, and it's on for the end of August. End of August, and we're one of their main events. It's going to be, so that'll be very guys. Be back on stage. It's obviously we haven't really done it. We have done virtual sound, thing called Circus Sound, what you can find on our Delta 7 Facebook page if you want to rewatch them.
Cool.
And the other day we did we've just done helped people who are leaving school, colleges. We did a Q&R on Facebook Live last week as well.
Mikey, where can people listen to Delta 7? So if people want to give you a try and have a listen, where can they?
Well,
listen?
we're on Spotify, YouTube, Facebook. I think we're on Instagram, and I am actually looking into doing a TikTok for Delta 7 as well.
Cool. So there you go, everybody. If you want to listen to Delta 7, you've got all those different places you can have a listen, and they're well worth listening to.
Yeah, definitely.
What is your favourite thing about being in a band?
The best bit about being in a band, being able to go out and be able to perform live to people and spread the word what we're about. I'm making music.
So if you had any advice for any budding music makers out there, what would it be?
Just keep doing what you love doing. I know it's hard at the moment, but we need to make sure the music is still going. And the best way to keep doing it is to keep doing what you're good at. And hopefully we can all, you'll be back to doing what you love.
Sorry, Sonia.
You can't just switch music off. Music is one of those things it's good for mental health. Plus it's good for other things as well.
Wise words, Mikey. Sorry, Sonia, I pinched your question there, didn't I? Do you want to move on to my one below it?
Which one? The one you missed?
No, go to the next one.
Yeah. Right. You are also a DJ. Can you tell us how that started?
Oh, I've done DJ. DJ is like a hobby to me. I've done it since I was probably 8 years old. I can remember starting off with like a little cassette CD player and a desk lamp, and then from there I've got loads of stuff. At the moment, I've not done any gigs at all for DJ. I've done some stuff on Facebook and things like that, but it's not the real thing. So I'm really looking forward to getting back into doing DJ. I'm looking into trying to get into hospital radio as well at the moment. Yeah, that's it.
What do you enjoy about DJing?
Meeting new people and playing, watching them dance the night away, and having a laugh at them.
We will now check if we have any questions from the audience.
Okay.
So Neil, do we have any questions?
We do have loads of questions for you, Mikey. So,
I'm
going to pop them across to you. So Andrew asks, just wondering what made you start the band, and has music always been something that you're interested in?
Wow, that's a good answer, Andrew. Yes, basically, like I said, we all got part of music calls by disabled people, and we just decided we wanted to set up a band, and that's the way it went. There was we didn't really no meaning to it. We just wanted to make more music, and here we are now. And
the rest is
history. I've always loved music since I was born. I've been brought up with music from the 60s right I'm more into 80s and 90s, but I do like the old stuff. Not keen on some of the modern stuff now, but definitely 80s and 90s. I love it.
Cool.
That's it. Another Andrew says, how did you party hard as rock stars?
How we party? We had a bit of a party the other night. After the bathroom, we were having a bit of sing-song, a bit of dancing. Yeah, so it was good fun.
Good. Karen, how easy is it to write songs?
It's not hard. It's not difficult. It's one of those things. You just start off with ideas. You just anything comes on top of you. We write it down and then make a song out of it.
And you're right, what you said earlier. There really can be songs about anything, can't there?
Absolutely anything.
Thank you. Vicky says, you must have a lot of knowledge on music. Which musicians have influenced you, and what is your favorite genre?
My favorite songwriter is Johnny Cash, and my favorite song by him is Ring of Fire, because he's a lovely countryside musician.
It's a great song. And what is your favorite song to listen to?
What, all time or from the band is that?
All time.
It would have to be Johnny Cash, Ring of Fire.
Right, same one. There you go, Lucy. That was your question. Erica asks, when do you think you'll be performing live again? And you told us about your
in August, the end of August. Fingers crossed that's going to go ahead, but hopefully.
And final question from Andrew. Self-advocates from Sunderland People First have some amazing musical talents. Any advice about how people can start creating a band?
I think it's just literally going searching on the internet for groups. But I don't know. I think you can just set your own band up, and with the right funding and all that, you should be able to go far. It's nothing about. I wouldn't know how you get yourself out there, but it's worth looking around and approaching record deals and musicians.
Thank you.
And looking in the paper or internet would be my advice.
Perfect. And then final question from me. Matty asked, what gives you inspiration for your songs?
Inspiration? Well, all the songs we kind of do are all topical related. We've got a song about mental health. We've got one about human rights. So we try and touch on subjects what we all struggle with, and then we kind of make it into a song. So to kind of put the word out there about the topics and things. So yeah, our songs never based on anything, and we have a mixture. It's not just rock and roll. It's a bit of pop. It's a bit of country. There's a bit of we've done a bit of dance. There's a bit of rap in one of our songs. What the first song we actually got was on iTunes called "The Jungle." That's got rap in it. That can be found on iTunes.
Oh, brilliant.
That's also a music video on YouTube as well.
I found some of your videos on YouTube, and I popped one in the box. So
yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Brilliant. There's a few comments. There's all the questions. There's a few comments in the chat box.
I can see them coming up, but I just can't keep up.
They're coming in fast. Oh. Karen says, "I've seen the film, Mikey, and it certainly demonstrates your very real love for Tom and the love and support you provided for each other." And there's lots of fantastic comments in there. Amazing, Mikey. You are an inspiration. Great advice. Lots of love Johnny Cash. So that's all the questions and comments. I'll hand back over to David and Sonia, and I think you've got time to give us a sing first. So I'll hand back over.
Well, over to Sonia.
Yep. Now we're going to do a quick fire questions.
Oh God.
During the interviews.
Oh blimey.
So first one, if you could choose to be either a superstar, DJ, or playing massive festival all over the world, or going on a world tour with Delta 7, which would you choose?
Oh blimey, that is a hard one. That is difficult. I would say probably going on tour with my family members, my band members, because that'd be awesome.
Well, so,
in an RV, preferably.
Next one, if you could get one famous musician to work on a song with Delta 7, who would it be?
Well, I don't know if Johnny Cash is still around. It'd be nice if Johnny Cash or Elvis Presley, but I don't know. Probably one of them.
Would Taylor Swift thumbs up or thumbs down?
Thumbs up for Taylor Swift. She's lovely.
Good, good. So, Mikey, imagine you're going on a world tour with Delta 7. You can choose any band in the world to be your support act.
I've just seen so I'll carry my suitcases with me. Thank you ever so much.
You're going on a world tour. You can have any support band in the world. Who would it be?
Support bands. Oh my god. I would say the band in Eastbourne, Top Loader, because they're
Top Loader.
yeah.
If you were to sing right now, would the audience clap or cheer or put their fingers in their ears?
I don't know. I hope they wouldn't put their fingers in their ears, but it's their choice.
Mikey, should we find out? You said you were going to sing the song for us, so we'll find out whether everybody claps or goes.
Okay. I'll do the lockdown, so I'll sing like the verse I did, and then just the chorus.
Cool.
So it's called the Lockdown Song, and it goes a bit like this: staring at the walls again, wishing I could go out, see my friends. The days feel so long, feel down, anxious and scared. I must be strong. Look to the future, not what's behind us. I know we can do it. Come out stronger if we try. We can learn everything through this time. We'll get through this if we stick together.
That's terrific, Mikey. Terrific.
Thank you, Neil. Oh, yeah, I can see it clapping. Yeah, thank you, guys.
Thank you for joining us on the show, Mikey. Ladies and gentlemen, Mikey Reynolds.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mikey. So now we'd like to introduce you to a man with many talents, whether it's composing and playing music, photography or painting. Our next guest excels in them all. He's John Barry, David Bailey, and John Constable, all rolled into one. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to welcome Peter Allen.
Hello.
Hello. Hello, Peter, and welcome to the show.
Hello. Hi. Thank you.
How important is being creative in your day-to-day life?
Very important.
So is it something that you couldn't do without?
I'm sorry?
Could you not do without being creative? Could you
No,
not
but you're not really, but keeps me busy, you see.
And you're a very accomplished musician. You play and you compose on your keyboard. How did you get started as a pianist?
Well, I've been playing piano since 1968. When I was about 6 years old.
Were you taught how to play, or did you learn yourself?
Yeah, to start with, I had a piano teacher come on to school. This was that we taught me how to play the scales, and I was told by one of the teachers there, because I had a bit of a knack of playing the piano, they tried to get me into the Yehudi Menuhin school, but never came about, of course. So
do you since those early lessons, do you teach yourself now as you go along?
Yes, I do. So a lot of stuff. I listen to music all the time, then I'm able to play it.
So you've got quite a good ear. You can pick up the notes and know what to play.
Yeah.
Okay, Sonia.
You write your own music. Where does the inspiration come from, your song?
Well, our musicians, they write their own songs, so I follow suit, sort of thing. So I make up my own stuff.
Do you prefer learning other people's stuff or coming up with your own stuff?
Well, we do a bit of each. I'll play other people's music, but I make up my own stuff. I improvise my own music as well.
Did you have any musical heroes when you were growing up?
Well, yes, I Pink Floyd. Still, just. I also Genesis. I also Phil Collins and Dire Straits. And then talk people, you know.
So you're quite a fan of progressive rock music.
Yeah, but mostly also classical music as well, like Bach, for instance.
If someone come to you and asked you how they could start to make music, what advice could you give them?
Well, the advice I give it to, if you have a keyboard, just have about a few tunes, you know.
So just
yeah, it doesn't mean you can't play a bit. You just think about the keys. We should be able to get something out of it.
You are a member of the LSO Creator, which is a London Symphony Orchestra project. Could you tell us what LSO Creator is all about?
You know, LSO Create is about it's a project run by London Symphony Orchestra Discovery, where people we meet together from all walks of life, you know, the type of people, you know, learning the type of people, and they get to play music together. And from time to time, we have a 3-day project. We finish up with a performance, but because of lockdown, we haven't been able to meet physically. So the last few months we've been meeting virtually online. You know.
Could you tell everyone where you end up playing after these projects?
Yeah, we finished up playing in the Barbican.
What was it like playing at the Barbican? I think there's probably a lot of musicians that are very envious of you.
Yeah,
play Barbican.
Yeah. One few years ago, we went before the pandemic. There was one time when we after the project rehearsals and all that, we finished up in the Barbican on the main stage, and it's very good. You know, it's a nice experience. One time, for example, there were about a few organisations playing besides us. The people that play before us, you sit on your stool, you know, and you actually feel the vibration on the floor.
That's quite impressive.
It's a nice experience.
Because you don't just play the keyboard with LSO Create, do you? What other instrument do you play with them?
Yeah, well, I think I was a double bass.
How easy is it to play the double bass?
It's very difficult, really, because I don't play in the same way as the LSO musicians play, but I do rhythm and all that, you know. But with a double bass, well, with violin, right, you don't need a lot of pressure, you know. But with double bass, you need a lot of pressure on the strings to draw the sound out. And also, because it's quite large, I need to sit on a stool.
Do you feel nervous when you perform in front of people?
Oh yes, no, I do feel nervous, but I try to put it aside and try and concentrate on what I'm doing, what we should be doing, you know.
Yep. Right. You have started painting recently. How did you learn to paint?
Well, okay, I'm gonna go people first, and there's one here. I'll show it to you. But we're using pastels, and I showed us the video, and I copied it. Cartoons.
That's really good.
Cartoon character. You know.
So how do you come up with your ideas for your paintings?
Well, think about nature. For example, I think about a picture might look nice, so I start painting it. But that one's using pastels. This next one here is also pastels. But that's my own one, not one that I copied.
So did that just come out of your imagination?
Yeah.
That's really impressive.
And he spoke about LSO Create earlier. And there's one made about LSO Create.
Excellent. That's really good, Peter. Really good.
And also there's another one. This is done by using watercolors.
So you use quite a lot of different methods to do your pictures, don't you?
Yeah. And this one, I'm painting my first outside of boarding school up in Shropshire. This building, this hill here is the Brownkley Hill. This hill here is called the Tetterstonecley Hill.
So is this from memory from when you're a boy?
Memory, yeah. Yeah.
It's really good.
Do you have
And one for
any,
space. So go on.
do you have any advice for someone who wants to start painting? What would you need and what they look out for?
What you need is a cartridge paper, something like this. With this is A4 size. But also another cartridge paper on the floor here, an A3 about this big. You know, I've also used a needle. Yeah, you have to stand the painting on. Yeah, and also paint brushes. You can paint acrylic paints, and the brushes and pastels.
Cool. Started taking photographs.
Yeah, and these are these.
So when did you first start taking photographs?
Mid-70s. Well, I didn't have that camera then. I had a little brownie camera, little bit about a small.
So you've gone up the steps to that.
Yeah,
big,
and they weren't colour printing, but they were black and white.
So your big camera, what do you have to know about that camera? Do you have to kind of read through all the instructions? Is it quite complicated to use?
It can be if you don't know how to use them. Most cameras, some people use them. You can have it all automatic, where everything's done for you. But I tend to use a manual, which means I'm changing the focus and the shutter speed and f-stop. You know, the settings you do that yourself, but automatic it does it for you. But I tend to use manual, so I can do everything myself.
Cool.
Thing is with manual, you change your focus, But if it's a manual, not automatic, it's not in focus all the time. Even if it is on automatic, there's no guarantee that it will be in focus.
I see.
I've taken photographs London night time. And I've used a long exposure, which means although the London eye is traveling slowly, you use a long exposure. You review the photo, it looks like it's spinning around pretty quick.
Oh, so it'll have the kind of blur of colour.
Yeah.
What kind of photographs do you like to take?
Like taking landscape photographs, nature, and portraits as well.
Okay, so we've had a look at your camera. So back to you, Sonia.
What advice would you give to someone who wanted to start doing photography?
Well, if to go for it, really, it's better start with a small camera, typical ones. 2 cameras, ones that easy to use.
So build up towards your big one once
Yeah.
they've got used to using simpler ones.
Yeah.
A question for you, Peter. How did you decide to get creative? Do you plan to do it, or do you just get creative when you feel in the mood?
How do I? Well, the thing is, I've always liked when I'm out and about, I see look around, or this might look good in a photograph, and get the ideas like that.
So just keeping your eyes out.
Yeah.
When people do creative things, do you think it matters if they are good at it? For example, someone might try painting and feel like they have done it wrong.
Well, it's not. So can you repeat that, please?
Yeah. When people creative things, do you think it matters if they are good at it? Example, someone might try painting and feel like they got it wrong. So they might say, no, I've done that picture wrong.
Yeah. So does it matter if you're no good at something, or you think that you know?
No. I mean, no, not really. It doesn't matter. It's to you, if you like it, if you like what you're doing, it all matters. It's everyone has their own. Everyone has their own ability or skills,
Exactly. Should we check from some questions from the audience, Sonia? What do you think?
Yeah.
Hello. So firstly, we've got some great comments in the chat box, Peter. So lots of people saying your paintings are fabulous. You have a real gift when painting from memory. Great use of colour, really creative. Really like the idea of a long exposure of the London Eye. Would like to see that picture. So we've got some lovely comments in the chat box. So do check them out afterwards, Peter. But we'll go through as many questions as we can in a few minutes. So Rachel asks, what is your favourite song to play on the piano?
My favourite song is I like playing Bach, which is Prelude in C major. And of course, some of you might be familiar with the other part of it that goes with it, with Ave Maria.
Oh yeah.
Thank you. Vicky asks, as an older person, do you think it is easy to learn an instrument later in life?
Well, it's difficult for some, but easier for others. I think if a person's been playing it for some time, it's easier for them. But if you're starting later in life, it becomes more difficult. But the thing is, we never stop learning, you see.
This is very true. It's very true. Erica asks, if you released an album, would you paint the album cover? And if you did, what would you paint?
Oh, the album cover.
Yeah.
I suppose something of nature, I guess. Something of nature.
Thank you. Brian, have you ever met any of your musical heroes? And if not, who would you most like to meet?
I haven't met any of them really. I'd like to meet Phil Collins.
You'd like to, yeah.
Phil Collins. Well, except for LSO Discovery. For those who met musicians at LSO Orchestra, I met them. But the pop groups I haven't met. But if it's a pop group or pop style, I think Phil Collins.
Thank you. And is there a quick fire round, David, as well?
So we're back to Sonia.
Back to Sonia. Perfect.
Now we've got 5 quick fire questions. So if you could choose to play a concert of your music at the Royal Albert Hall or on the main stage at the Glastonbury Festival, which would you choose?
What was the last one?
Glastonbury Festival.
Glastonbury. Oh, I think that's the Royal Albert Hall.
Okay. If you could choose 3 famous musicians to play with you, who would they be?
Favorite musicians.
3 famous musicians to play with you.
Famous musicians. Oh, I don't know really. Could be. I suppose Phil Collins. Maybe the the band we talked to earlier, Mikey.
Yeah, yeah, Mike. It's a good one.
If you could do a photography session with anyone, alive or dead, who would it be?
If
If you could do a photography
session with anyone, live or dead.
David Bailey.
So another question for you, Peter. What book are you currently reading? Because I know you read a lot.
Yeah, I just finished reading reading quite a few of them actually. Robert Smith. I just finished reading that book. And I'm also reading Chris Ryan. And I just started reading another book called I think Bill Clinton and James Patterson.
Cool.
A magical spell transport you into a book and you become part of the story. Would you rather travel around the world in 80 days with Philippa Fogg or fight along the 3 Musketeers to defeat the even Colonel Rachel?
Well, they wrote in their data, I think.
So what was that, Peter?
Round the world in 80 days. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Round the world in 80 days. That one.
Thank you for joining us on the show, Peter. Before you leave us, you're going to play us a song you wrote, ladies and gentlemen, Peter Allen.
Sorry, it's not properly. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thanks, Peter.
Now we're going to introduce Steve Harley. Next up is a man with 30 years experience of working with people with learning disabilities. He has worked in a variety of settings, including supported living, inpatient services and education. He is currently a practice development nurse at Oxley's NHS Foundation Trust and is the certification editor of Advances in Autism. He also acts as an independent consultant specialist in supporting people with learning disabilities to have a platform to be heard. Last year, he was also an editor on a book about the experience of people with learning disability during the pandemic. This book, Peter and Friends, was a Who Assess. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome Steve Harley. Hello,
Thank you,
Steve.
Sonia. Thank you, David. Good to meet you and see you all again.
So, Steve, you have been working with people with learning disabilities for over 30 years. Why did you choose to work with people with learning disabilities, and what keeps you in the professional?
Yeah, it's quite easy for me because even longer than 30 years, when I was a little kid in the 1970s, my dad was a chairman of a local home for people with children with learning disabilities in East Dulwich. So we used to go to the meetings, etc. I used to sit in the lounge or the garden with all the other kids. We used to play ball games, hide and seek, that sort of stuff. And also we used to have discos in the local community hall, raising money. So yeah, I was used to, it was the norm for me. People with learning disabilities have always been part of my life and hopefully will be until the day I die. Yeah, thank you.
What keeps you in the profession now, Steve?
Well, knowing that hopefully we're making a difference, and also I've made some great friends like Peter, Sandra, and just seeing the look on people's faces if when we're doing something really fun, or exactly when someone has been discharged from hospital. Yeah, it really makes you feel really good about it. Yeah, cool.
You have now work as a practice development nurse at the Oxley's NHS Foundation Trust. In your role, you support staff, but you are also a member of the CAN. Can you understand the team? Could you tell us a little bit about your current job and about the CAN of understanding the team?
Yeah, sure. Part of my work is in the adult learning disability services in the boroughs of Bexley, Bromley and Greenwich. So I'm always keeping everyone up to date with practice. I'm always on Twitter and things like this, searching for new research, etc., then sharing it with everyone. And I really enjoy that. If anybody knows me, I'm always on Twitter or Facebook or LinkedIn. Quite annoying, everyone, but I like it. The Can You Understand It team, this is a group way before my time. It started 10 years ago. It's made up of people with learning disabilities and an editorial group. So if anything in Oxley's makes an easy read leaflet or a book, etc., then they have to run it by the Can You Understand It team, and they read through it, make recommendations, choose pictures for them, and everyone really accepts them. And they made such a big difference to publications for people with learning disabilities. Yeah, so I don't work with them so much nowadays, but I really do miss them. And yeah, they're striving forward, yeah, making a big difference. Thank you.
Dave, how do you think life has changed for people with learning disabilities since you first started your career? For example, has the way that we support people with learning disabilities gotten better?
Yeah, well, I can tell you a bit. When I was a support worker, when I was 19, in 1989, I was made a key worker for a gentleman called Barry, who sadly passed away now. But being a teenager, and I just thought, he had a care review coming up, his own care review. And I just expected for Barry to be invited to his own meeting. And the answer was no. Well, I couldn't believe it. So I said, well, it's about him. He deserves to be there. And if you're not going to invite him, you don't hold the meeting. They didn't have an answer for that. So then they invited him, all looking the disgruntled looks on their faces. But then I stepped a step too further because I asked if Barry could go to the team meeting, and they definitely said no then. So if I think about what happened back there in 1989, 1990 to what happens now, yeah, people are definitely involved about their own lives, their own decisions. Yeah, and I really thank the advocates, self-advocates, but also advocacy managers, groups, etc., because they really make a big difference for the lives of people with learning disabilities. And people like yourselves, the Foundation People with Learning Disabilities, you're always standing up for the rights, the human rights of people. Yeah, so yeah, I thank you for it.
An important thing throughout your career has been the direct involvement of people with learning disabilities in the decisions and events that affects them. Why do you think this is important?
Yeah, really good question, Sonia. It goes back to it's their life they're going to make decisions about. Perhaps they need a bit of help to make the decisions, but at the end of the day, it's down to them. And the Mental Capacity Act, I really believe in it. I teach it, I lecture on it and talk at conferences about it. And what really drives me is, Peter doesn't mind me talking about this, but back in 1999, Peter was due to get married to his fiancée, Marilyn. Marilyn has really sadly passed away since then, but it was all go. They booked the church, the reception, and their honeymoon. They saved up for it for about 6 months, and then the vicar came round and spoke to Peter and said, "Well, you're not having the wedding now, so here's your money back." And he didn't know anything about it. And then he spoke to his support workers, and they said the manager cancelled it because it's not your decision to make. Well, that made me so angry, made Peter so angry, and his then fiancée, and his then wife, Marilyn. Yeah, so I've always fought for people with learning disabilities being able to make their own decisions, and I'm always fighting for it. And hopefully and thankfully, we've seen so many changes since the start of the Mental Capacity Act in 2007. It's quite slow in its how people are beginning to understand it, but in terms of law, it is still quite in its infancy. For example, the Mental Health Act, people took years upon years to understand it. So hopefully we're going to get there much quicker now. Yeah, thank you.
So Steve, would you recommend a career in learning disability nursing? And if so, what can someone expect from a career like that?
Yeah, I actually fell into it accidentally. I wanted to become an occupational therapist, but I got a secondment from my then bosses who actually paid me £1,000 to be a learning disability nursing student. So I didn't have to take the students' wages. I just kept on my normal wages. That really helped. But I really so much loved my nurse training. I worked with children, older people, worked in a general hospital, in forensic services. Yeah, writing care plans for people and with them. Yeah, and I would encourage anybody to take up the profession, because it's not actually being a nurse. It's because learning disability nurses can work in all sorts of avenues. So, for example, they become an advocate manager, a care manager with social services, a home manager, a community nurse. Yeah, it's so wide. Oh, they can work in prisons. They're also employed in mainstream hospitals. Yeah, so the world is your oyster. Yeah, I'd really encourage anybody to do it, and it's so rewarding. Yeah.
So you definitely recommend.
Yeah.
Last year, you were an editor of the book Peter and Friends, a book all about people's experience during the pandemic. Can you tell us a little bit more about the book and where the idea came from?
Yeah, sure. Brilliant question, Sonia. Peter, who I've been talking about, he's my friend, and we often work together. And I was having a telephone conversation with him about March last year, and we were in lockdown. And he was saying, "Oh, I'm really scared. I think I've got COVID, but I can't go and see the doctor. I can't understand any written information they give me." So I arranged to go round to meet him. I got him a thermometer to take his temperature, and also to actually have a telephone conversation with his GP. So it turned out he didn't have COVID, but he said, "Well, what if other people like me who can't read, perhaps have a learning disability, live by themselves, how do they know how they're going to cope with it?" So that's where the idea started. So then I spoke to Mr. Eddie Chaplin from London and South Bank. And then I spoke to Christine and David from the Foundation People with Learning Disabilities. And then Matthew, who's a student occupational therapist. And we decided, well, let's see how many people want some information about this and to share their experiences. So we wrote to everyone I know on my personal email account. Then I sent tweets out on Facebook. I went round to advocacy groups, only couldn't do it face to face. We had to do it by Zoom or MS Teams. Yeah, and I published call outs in some journals, etc. And I also wrote call outs for the Gary Borlett's Facebook page, and also the People First the Movement Facebook page. So we were overwhelmed with how many responses we got, not only from England, Scotland and Wales and Northern Ireland, but then we started to get responses from South Africa, Canada, Ghana, Singapore, Spain. I've forgotten there's another 6 countries, but I can't remember them all. Oh, yeah, cool. And it all came together. We had a few hiccups towards the end, technical hiccups, but we overcome them. And then we had a conference, an online conference to launch it, which was so well received. It went so much better. And I think how it went so much better was because we weren't actually stressed over it. And Peter was the star. He introduced it. I did a little bit of acting with my boss. It wasn't an Oscar-winning performance, more like a raspberry, but we still did it. And we also had contact with Spain on the conference, yeah. And we still think the book is a great resource for people to talk about how they felt during the COVID experience, but also what they would recommend if it ever happened again. But fingers crossed it won't happen again.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Do you want to ask your next question, Sonia?
Being created in your life can bring us a lot of joy and helps to keep our mental health. How well do you think that we are, as a society, supporting people with learning disabilities to explore their creative talents? How can we support them better?
Oh, God, you're so right, Sonia. For example, on this Friday, we got a remembrance and celebrating the lives of people with learning disabilities during the pandemic. And we've got so many performances and artwork. So we got a song written by a group of people with learning disabilities. We've got so much artwork. We've got a song, I won't tell you what it is, but a famous song sung by Kiera Lawrence, poems read by Lloyd Evans, Lloyd Page, and also some great interviews with people with learning disabilities who actually had COVID and survived. So I think artwork and being creative is so important to everybody, whether you have a learning disability or not. So like you're talking about, Mickey was talking about, it really helps your mental health. It keeps you stable. It also, being creative, etc., can help with your physical health. It's so important. Yeah. And yeah, I believe in the artwork. I'm no artist myself, but I like music. I like reading, etc. I also like writing. Yeah, so it really helps my mental health, and hopefully it helps everyone else's. Thank you.
So the event on Friday, can anybody attend that?
Yes. If you can read out my email, you can just send it to me, or you can ask Neil.
Yeah, could we
write up the link in
I'm literally just popping it in there right now.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Neil. Yeah, we're really looking forward to it. We've re-recorded some videos and we've got some live performances as well. Fingers crossed it will go really well, especially with the support of Neil, who is wonderful. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
And Sonia, do you want to ask your next question?
Yeah, we will now. How can people find out more about the work that you do?
Well, if you're on Twitter, I'm always on there, or on Facebook, the groups, but also I have my own website. It's stevehardyldn.com. It's not the most accessible website, mainly because I have to do it myself. But what's really helpful is all the resources I've been involved with, and also the co-production articles I've written with Peter and other people. So you can just download them for free. There's no charge whatsoever. And also, Peter and I, we're often invited to speak at conferences, etc. And there's no charge for me, but Peter will charge £15 an hour. Yeah, so please contact me. If Neil can put my email address up, that'd be really helpful.
I'd recommend your website. It's lots of really useful free resources that people can get hold of. So back to you, Sonia.
Should we go through some questions from the audience?
Go for it.
Sure, we have time for a couple of questions. First one from Andrew: how can we support university students to realise what an amazing job being a learning disability nurse can be?
Well, be advertising it from the time before they become a university student. So I would guess going around to secondary schools and colleges advertising the role of the learning disability nurse, and people with learning disabilities actually advertising the role. You catch them early. I think that is the best idea, because as soon as they get to university, they've already made their mind up. Yes, we need to catch them early.
Fantastic, thank you. And we've got time for one more question. What can we do to improve the health outcomes of the people you work with?
Well, explaining everything to the person and those who support them in easy English, making a difference to, for example, so Peter, he doesn't read at all, but he goes to his GP, an electric sign signal comes up and says, Peter, it's your appointment. Well, he just sits there. So we need to make a difference, make reasonable adjustments. And I believe if we actually make reasonable adjustments on a day-to-day basis, this will make a difference to the health outcomes.
Fantastic, thank you. I know that we're out of time for this, Steve, but there are a couple of questions in the Q&A box. Are you all right to type an answer to them?
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Great, I'll hand back to Sonia.
Now we're going to do 5 quick questions.
Go for it.
When you are not working, how do you like to spend your time?
Bird watching and watching my favourite show. I'm not going to swear, but Schitt's Creek. Cool.
What was the first concert you attended?
I'd like to say it was Madonna. That was my second concert. It was actually Transvision Vamp in 1988. And it was really disappointing because they actually, they didn't sing live. Yeah, they would, yeah. But they were a nice band. But also the Madonna one, that was a great concert.
You are on a cruise ship with Jane McDonald coming down with a sore throat just before a big gig. The captain asks you to sing instead and offer you £5,000. Would you do it?
Yes, I would, as long as I could dress up and no one can recognise me. I would. But if they did recognise me, then I'd probably jump ship. Yeah.
If someone were to play you in a movie of your life, who would it be?
Oh, I'd like to say someone like Leo DiCaprio, but he's not bald. I can't think of any famous bald actors now.
Jason Statham?
Sorry?
Jason Statham?
Oh, yeah, he's good, yes.
Or The Rock?
Cool. Yeah, no, Jason Statham, yeah, he's a good idea. Thank you.
If you had to do a bungee jump or ice swimming, which would you choose?
Well, I've actually jumping out a plane when I was 19 from about 5,000 feet or meters above, so I'd probably do the bungee jump.
Thank you for joining us on the show, Steve. Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Harley.
Thank you.
Thanks,
cool.
Steve. We now have a special guest to round off the show. I'd like to introduce you to Pat Charlesworth. So Pat is the chair of the Foundation for People with Learning Disabilities Advisory Group. So Neil, can we highlight Pat?
Yep, I've just invited Pat to start the video.
Can you hear us, Pat?
I can hear you.
Have you got your video started?
Yeah.
There she is.
I am not the special guest. I've joined David to interview our special guest. Our special guest is someone who used creative thinking to bring people with learning disabilities together in her local area. She is a learning disability advocate and a gold medal winner, Olympian. Our final guest is the wonderful Sonia Reid.
Surprise, Sonia. You're a surprise guest. So remember, if you've got any questions for Sonia, add those in the box, and we'll grab those at the end. Back to you, Pat.
Oh, I thought you. Hang on. Yes, you. Remember if. Oh, you just said it. Sorry. You are a very active member of your local community and came up with a really creative solution to loneliness. You run a friendship group in your local area for people with learning disabilities. Could you tell us more about how that came about and what you do?
Yeah, it came about when I was a teenager. I thought there's nothing for people who've got learning disabilities to in their local community. And I thought, could we do something about it? So I set up a friendship group, and it's with people who got learning disability. And what they do, they come down and they learn new skills for coming down, like learn to pay for their meal. And it's set up for 4 people when I started. And now it's like 30 people or more.
It's a lot. Is it? Can you tell us where you all meet?
Yeah, we meet in Wetherspoons in Hastings, and we all meet there and just be like in normal people in the community. We got people who got who has been spared in their life, and we got someone who was bullied. But he came down, started with the group. He really enjoys it. He learned new skills. Like he didn't know how to pay for his meal. He didn't know how to pay on a e-card. And he learned all that. He could go up to a bar by himself, order his food, and we just have a laugh. We also got someone who didn't know money sense, and she could go up a bar now and pay the right money.
So do you think it's helped make people a lot more confident? Do you see from week to week people's confidence growing?
Yeah, and they're not scared. That like one of parents comes and she said if it wasn't down to Sonia and he would enable go out and enjoy his time. So, and weather's been brilliant. Any problems, we could go to I also, 2 years in a row before the pandemic, I done a Christmas dinner for everyone. They just give me money and I order food, and we had about 32 people then. So
that's a lot of people, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a very successful group.
Yeah.
Back to you, Pat.
Yeah, I would like to ask you, Sonia. Sorry, this isn't written down, but there's one thing I'd like to ask Sonia. It because of the pandemic, are you still meeting? Are you meeting on Zoom?
No, a lot of people wouldn't know how to go on Zoom.
Okay.
But I keep in contact with them by text or Facebook. Some of them are on.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
yeah. Thank you, Sonia. I'd like to ask you another question. How else do you think your group helps its members?
I think we support each other, and if something not something going, you know, someone feel unwell, or give good advice, and we have fun and a laugh, and that's what it's like being with friends. So.
Okay. So another question, if people wanted to set up a similar friendship groups in their local areas, what should they do and who could help them?
I think they should do, because, you know, you still got a right to be in your community. You could ask a friend that you trust. What I've just done it with no help. But if you talk to someone who you could trust and will help you set a group up, that's the best way to go for it.
Okay. You are also a gold medal winner, Olympian, have competed at the Special Olympics. How did you get into athletics?
Well, I was good. I like to be active, so I used to play football around my mum's. And what happened? Someone said there's a group set up for people who've got learning disabilities to do athletics. So I thought, oh right. So I went and had a look first, and I thought, oh, I would like to join. So I had to fill in a form to say my disability and that. And then I started joining. So since then, I've been there for must be about 4 years. And in that time, I've been gold medalist in shot put, running. So I do, my activities is shot put, running 100 meters and a women's relay. Also, I used to do running long jump. Also do javelin. But because my knee now, I can't do it. But I also used to do assistant coach. So I was trained in assistant coach. So I went on 2-day course, learn skills about how to teach someone to do the stuff I do.
Okay.
And then I became assistant coach, so I'll be doing the drills like warm ups, warm down, and I do. If someone got a race about in 5 minutes, I learn them get warmed up. So
you're passing on your experiences to others.
Yeah.
We're running a bit short of time, but I do want to ask you about the Involvement Matters team that you're part of. So Pat, we're spinning on a few questions. So you're part of the Sussex Counties Council Involvement Matters team. Can you tell us what the IMT is and what it does?
Yeah, it's a group of people who've got learning disabilities, and what we do, we advocate for other people. So we have meetings every week with Involvement Matters, and we talk about what stuff we need to do, what piecework. So at the moment, we got a lot of work doing the Learning Disability Partnership Board on Thursday. So we done video, updates. Also, people on the IMT get invited to be part of the interview panel. And also training, we've done training with Tanya about people who are going in adult social services. So we trained their staff in learning disabilities, and we got a campaign, There's More to Me Than LD. And also, I've been there since 2002 on the partnership board. So I'm a co-chair of it as well. So.
Cool. Thanks, Sonia. Back to you, Pat.
What do you like most about being part of the IMT group?
They all happy. We all have a laugh, and you know, we support each other on things. And we got all different kinds of people. But what I like is friends. They are friends, and we support each other. And if it wasn't down to our support worker that supports us, it won't be as good as it was.
So is that Jeanette?
Yeah.
So that's Jeanette Gallagher Young. So we shout out to Jeanette there. Pat, I think we're running out of time, and I think we want to finish off with another song from Peter. So
yeah,
do you want to? Should we jump straight into the quick fire questions?
Oh, sorry, I was okay. Quick fire questions. Okay, here are your 5 quick fire questions. If you became a super famous, would you become a diva? I tell you, when David said this to me, I laughed my head off.
Can you say that again? Sorry.
If you became super famous, would you become a diva? Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
I don't think you would.
No.
So you wouldn't be demanding that they sort out all the different M&Ms into different colours?
No.
So if you were stranded on a desert island and could only take 3 things, what would they be?
First one will be my medals. Second one will be a nice blow up sofa. And the third one will be lagers.
Okay. If you could get front row tickets for any band or performer, who would it be?
I think it'd be Stated Crow.
Okay.
If people demanded a statue be made of you, where would you want it to be placed?
Oh. In a garden in my flat, in a garden where I live.
You are offered the holiday of a lifetime on a tropical island, a beautiful hotel, beautiful beaches, five-star pampering, and everything is free. However, there is a catch. The only way you can get there is by parachuting out of a plane. Do you go?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm not scared of parachuting.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for your surprise interview, Sonia. Ladies and gentlemen, Sonia Reid.
Okay.
Right. Now, we would like to give a big thank you to all our guests, Mikey, Peter and Steve, Ollie and me.
And Sonia, of course, yeah. We'd also like to thank you, the audience, for coming today, and thanks for all the questions. They've been really terrific. So we really, really hope you've enjoyed it.
So, last all, to finish the show, we would like to invite Peter back, who is going to play out his new song. Over to you, Peter.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. We will be sharing the recording of this with everyone who attended and everyone who registered but didn't attend. I'll also include some of the links to Steve's website and book, Steve's email address, and a link to Mikey's band on Spotify. So thank you all so much for attending. It's been wonderful to work with you all.
Thanks, Neil.
Thank you.
Thank you, Neil. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks,
Really enjoyed
everyone.
it.
Thank you, Neil. Thank you, everyone.
Definitely need to do it again.
Yes, we had that as a request. We had someone said, "Can you organise another 1,000 other one shows?" So the demand is there, and there's lots of amazing comments in the chat box from people. I've loved this. Looking forward to the next one. Thanks so much, everyone. It's been really enjoyable. Peter, I love that piece of music. Fantastic event. So there's lots of lovely comments. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop recording and then we'll keep this live so we can read through those. Okay. Thanks, audience. Thanks, everyone.
Cheers. Thank you.